Local competitor Matt Randall, competing in the Bushman's pack horse. You'll see on Matt's horse there a paint brand on the horse's rump. That lets the judges know that that horse is the same horse he's going to use all weekend in all the 6 preliminary events, pack horse being one of them. See Matt loading his horse there with the pack judge keeping an eye on how he goes about the job, how he does the straps up, where he actually puts buckles, keeping an eye on how neat the job he's doing. A couple other competitors keeping an eye on him. Matt just about to go out onto the course. There you're seeing opening the slip rail gate. There's a number of obstacles on the obstacle course that the judges set out for him to negotiate, making sure nothing gets hooked up or broken, he doesn't lose anything. See him starting to trot along. 15 minutes that it takes for this event. Seems to go fairly quickly. You see him hurrying along here. He'll be trying to get back so that he can actually get unpacked before the 15 minutes is up, hoping to get all his points.
It helps if you have a horse that leads up well.
See the crowd keeping an eye on Matt. Comes to the log and the gravel there. Just a few simple things, but a lot of horses sort of don't go much on going through these things. All the 3 poles and up over the gravel. Starting to hurry along now, keeping a concerned eye on his back. Last thing he'd want would be something to come off. He'd lose a lot of points for that.
By this stage, nerves will start to overtake you. Your fingers will fumble at the buckles and time marches quickly by.
Judges, timekeepers, officials, all making sure everything goes smoothly. See Matt unpacking his bags now. The judge would like everything back the way it was when he first arrived to start the event. I think there was some oats and maybe some poison, some 1080, a billy, a few cooking utensils, rabbit traps, various array of things just to test the competitor out. And there his time seems to be up. Here we have another interstate competitor from Queensland, Rick Knutson, competing in the 3 Max Whip Crack. The Whip Crack event in the King of the Ranges competition was very hard. I don't think there was many people scored more than 50 or 60 points out of 100 in this. Very trying, you had to be very accurate with the whip. What it consisted of was the competitor cantering through a course where there were some jumps laid out and some targets on the ground end up in the air. These were paper targets that had to be cut with a whip. Here we see Megan Richards from Aberdeen. Megan's actually leading the ladies competition at this stage, I feel. And there she's just completing her freestyle at the end of the obstacle course. Another event in the King of the Range competition is the Bareback obstacle course. You see Sam Easy there. He's actually finished his obstacle course part of the competition, but there is a 20-second freestyle at the end of that, just to show the judges and to gain a few more points how quiet your horse is and whether you may be able to do a trick with him. See Linda Adams there side passing over the logs. A few people there interested in what's going on over the jump. Keeping in mind you have to ride bareback all through this competition, this part of the competition. I think that's Renelle there, Renelle Adams, taking the horse up and over the bridge.
Here she's getting off to crack the whip around her horse while the horse stands still inside a square. If the horse moves outside the square, she loses a couple of points.
Here you see now in the 22nd part of the event where she'll lay her horse down. I think there's extra points to be gained here just to impress the judges. Maybe just running out of time there. I think this might be Rick Mitchell. A lot of these competitors have never done this before. Well, there's a different way of getting on and off your horse, I guess. But yeah, a lot of these competitors never competed in these events before, and it's good of them to actually take part. See Rick just trying to impress the judges there with how quiet his horse actually is. Not doing a bad job. And yeah, they're just wondering what the hell's going on. Another competitor into the bareback. Same story here, just trying to show the judges how quiet his horse is. He's already finished the obstacle course part. With the obstacles in this event, there'll be points for each obstacle. Similar to a cross-country event, a refusal if your horse actually steps back, so you've lost those points if you come to an obstacle and your horse actually steps away or goes around. This is actually me going over the bridge. That's at the beginning of the course. Here you have some cans in a bag. Negotiate the drums, put them on the other end. All those simple things. You'll find a lot of horses don't like doing a lot of these obstacles, side passing over the log. And I think the jump was the next. Jump is sort of actually getting up around 3'6". And same there, there's actually a square marked on the ground. You've got to crack your whip on the outside of the square without your horse leaving the marked area. Coming to the slip rail gate, this is actually the finish of the obstacle course. You go over the time line and then ride to the freestyle area. Yes, the judges are actually looking for a good rhythm, steady flow throughout the event, not disjointed. Here my horse actually didn't want to play ball, but I actually got him to lay down. There's a lot of people lay their horses down, stand up on their backs, all sorts of different things. Just another way of gaining a few extra points, hoping to get into the top 10 on Sunday. We see the farriers here giving a shoeing demonstration. Crowd were quite interested in these guys making shoes out of just a flat piece of steel. They will actually shoe draft horses later on with these. Shoeing is actually a part of the competition in King of the Ranges. See the judges there keeping an eye on the different collar groups. They come in, there's probably 6 or 7 to a group, they're all different coloured vests, numbered, and each group goes around the preliminary events. They stay in their groups. You see the purple group here doing the shoeing. You actually shoe front and a back foot.
Each competitor had to supply their own horse to shoe. 2 competitors actually can use one horse, shoeing one complete side each.
Judges just have a little format there. They would sort of check the hoof after it's prepared, making sure everything's right, the hoof's flat and level. They actually check the shoe after the competitors shape the shoe, and then the finish job. A lot of points to be gained by a good, practical, safely shod horse.
And also a bonus was finishing in amongst the half an hour that time allowed.
Half hour is plenty of time to shoe a couple of feet, but when you're actually trying to race, you're in a hurry, the time seems to go all that more quicker. Myself and Melinda actually won the horseshoeing at this competition, which was an added bonus. See Jason Leach there, I think that is. He'll be fairly up high in the standards throughout the competition. Beginning of the cross-country event. See number 1 competitor Sam Easy just leaving the start gate. All the competitors will follow through in sequence in this event, whereas the other events, the different collar groups went around in groups of 6 and 7. You see him just negotiating a few jumps there. Up until a couple of months ago there was no cross-country course here, just a few old logs laying about in the paddock, and a very good group of helpers and workers in the King of the Range committee put all this together. It's a fairly formidable cross-country course now. See the tyre jump there, Dad just getting over that. I think to memory it's about a 2-kilometre course, optimum time of 5 minutes, which means you need to get back as close as possible to the 5-minute mark so that you don't lose any points. See him just coming out of the water jump. Competitors will lose points if their horse actually goes around the jump without trying to go over it. See the last jump there, the King of the Range sign. Now he's back in the betting area where the vets will check the horse and probably add to as well by the look of that.
It takes many weeks of training and fitness to get these horses to be able to jump and travel the great distance.
About 20 jumps I think there is in this, yeah, 20 jumps. Water jumps seem to be a fair problem for most horses. See another competitor just leaving the start area at the top of your film there. Officials, timekeepers. A lot of people needed to run this event. You have to have officials at every jump. The vetting area when you get back, you need a handful of officials there helping the vets, taking hard rates, making sure there's no bumps and blemishes on the horses. All this is taken into account after the event. Losing points if anything's gone wrong out on course.
A lot of these riders too may not have done much jumping beforehand, and they are actually now jumping in their stock saddles, which they have to ride in the entire weekend, which can be very uncomfortable and make it hard.
I think the black group was the first group out. Troy Palmer, I think, was the winner of the cross-country event. I think he was in the first group that left the area. See another one at the water jump there. That upset quite a lot of people actually. Good reports that I've heard all through. A lot of people quite amazed and taken with the cross-country course. They're very pleased. One of the jumps actually, whether we get to see it, I think it's the second last jump. It's the blackberry jump. You gain extra points if you crack your whip coming off the top of it. So you see some competitors cracking their whip over that second last jump to gain extra points.
The tyres certainly had a lot of people worried. I know myself, my young horse came to it and didn't quite like it, and I decided to have another go at it to make him get over it.
I think this is actually Troy here. Troy Palmer. Yeah. Fitness has a lot to do with winning this event, because heart rates are actually taken on the Friday when the King of the Ranges starts, standing heart rate, and then again the heart rate after you come back. You see that jump there where the competitor's supposed to crack his whip.
She's having a little bit of trouble here.
Just maybe he forgot to do that there. And yes, the heart rate's taken again after the cross country, and compared with the standing heart rate on Friday, and the formula used by the vets will actually let them know what sort of points to deduct if your horse is not quite fit enough. See one rider being overtaken there, having a little problem on the last jump, but
I think that's one of our junior riders.
All in all, a very spectacular event for the crowd. A big crowd watching this on the Sunday.
Got the number 10 on his jersey. Yes, coming back to the finishing line, that was Troy Palmer. Number 5 on the jersey. So things are really truly underway in the cross country.
Station, Eastern Ranges in 93, a boy rode a station mountain, long ridges of pepper trees. hero. Wild bush coat, long before the snubbing post arch saddles him on the flat. Stockman shook their head as he pulled down his hat. They said, the way this could be, to be killed, not something we wish to see as hero. Hero. Time rolls on, generations come and they are gone by. Each one passed, attitudes and skills they lost so fast. He was king of the ranges, righteous and tough as nails, an old Australian stockman whose ghost still rides the train. 1914, newspaper at the door says Australia's at war. So 3 months down the track, he's mounted in line on a Middle Eastern shore. Although knows this will be greatest test of courage he will see as hero. Hero. Fire lights up the sky, metal in the air like firefly. Ozzy's sons fall before his eyes, blood runs from his chest as onwards he cries. Nowhere this will be anything but a victory as hero. Hero. Time rolls on, generations come and then they are gone by. Each one passed, attitudes and skills they last so fast. He was king of the ranges, righteous and tough as nails, an old Australian stockman whose ghost still rides the train. Years of selections, Thunderbolt and Jimmy Blacksmith Arch, drives and mob up the Schofields to the Nauru yards, well away from the cliffs. Fine day this would be, driving cattle with no company as hero. Hero. Jamie gallops up to the track, his pistol in hand with the hammer back. Jamie with anger in his eye says payment is due and don't tell me no lie. Our chances him with glee, bring up the stragglers, you get a cup of tea. Jimmy Rowe, Jimmy Rowe. Time rolls on, generations come and then they are gone by. Each one passed, attitudes and skills they lost so fast. He was king of the ranges, righteous and tough as nails, an old Australian stockman whose go still ride the train. 1935, the C7 mob run the tumult aside. Bosses can be mustered by every man in the district if they were here to try. But Arch says we will see as fellow stockmen join his company, and they roll, they roll. 20-mile track towards the sky, gorges and peaks all that fill their eye. Garment stringy flash by their side, the C7 mob they defiantly hide. 5 days they will be in the home yard for the boss to see as they roll, they roll. Time rolls on, generations come and then they are gone by. Each one passed, attitudes and skills they lost so fast. He was king of the ranges, righteous and tough as nails, an old Australian stockman whose ghost still rides the train. Autumn of his 50th year, still champion of the rodeos far and near. He's drafting cattle on a Glen Rock flat when he slumps forward and remains still after that. Stockmen run to see, rest a head on a rock, place a hand on his knee as he rode. 60 years on in time, the modern day stockman rides a bridle track line. A flicker in the dust, but it don't last. A hero's war medal from a forgotten past. He lifts it up to see Arch McGuinness's last legacy. Time rolls on, generations come and then they are gone by. Each one passed, attitudes and skills they lost so fast. He was king of the ranges, righteous and tough as nails, an old Australian stockman whose ghost still rides the trail.
So return take the place, and number 59 is Wayne Lake.
One of the many demonstrations over the 3-day King of the Range event was the working bullock team. A real crowd pleaser. see the old bullocks dragging the log along there, and really entertained the crowd over the weekend. Handling was actually another preliminary event in the King of the Range competition. Competitors had to remove 3 head of cattle with the use of a dog, take them round the course out in the rodeo arena. Certain obstacles were built. I think to my memory there was actually 4. There was a race, a gateway, final finish pen where the cattle had to be returned, and 2 judges were used here. One judge concentrated on the actual dog and the dog work and the way he handled the cattle. The other judge, he actually judged the rider and the horse work, control of the horse and the cattle, horseback. So the competitor there just putting his cattle in the return gate must have had a pretty good run. It's quite interesting. Everyone had to have their own dog. The different ways that actual people went about getting their cattle around the course. Cattle were quite hard. This was no easy feat by any means. See the judge there, Darryl Ralph, giving his score. The dog judge, John Greenwood, got a comment from him after the event. He was very pleased. He wants to come back next year and judge it again. Said it was the best thing that ever happened, having a dog as part of this competition. Just as a general note, a lot of the people competing here do work on stations, on properties. Would be doing this as part of their general work, so you find a lot of people here quite skilled at this event.
You had to ride through each obstacle after you got the 3 head of cattle through. Otherwise, the judge didn't know that you'd finished with that obstacle and you scored no points for it.
Ron Connolly there, one of the veterans in this event. There's actually 3 veterans this year. Ron Connolly, Merv Nicholson and Sam Easy. The dog high jump was another crowd pleaser at the King of the Ranges. Kids, women, old people, everybody had a dog there trying to get over the jump. I think there was a few dollars prize money for this. The dog there was quite funny actually. By the time they got up to 7 or 8 feet, there was a very big array of dogs there trying to complete the feat. A real crowd pleaser. Buck jump ride, part of the Saturday night entertainment with a big crowd on hand. Matt Randall coming out, first competitor. Here you have to use your own saddle. Polisaddle, stock saddle. 8-second ride. You must not touch down or lose an iron. And judge scores you on how well you spur. See Matt getting the spill there from the pickup man. Very big crowd pleasing event this. All the old hands I spoke to sort of nearly had tears in their eyes when I was watching this. Took them back to yesteryear. Very Australian event. Another good spill there from that competitor. Jason Nairn and Stevie Ernst, the pickup men. You see this competitor's actually wearing chaps, but most of them just wore jeans, old riding boots, all Australian gear. Cruppers being used there, you'll notice. The international saddles of today don't have cruppers, with the old saddles years ago all had cruppers, stopping the saddle from going out over the horse's head. Very big crowd pleaser, crowd on hand. See Graham Yates, I think it is, just about to come undone. and getting introduced to the turf. I think there was around 23 riders here on the Saturday night. A lot of them not professional buck jump riders, just willing to get in and have a go, paid their money. See, he's lost his iron there. Hayden Turnbull, I think that is. And ended up getting a spill. They tell me that a woman had a ride in this too. I hadn't. Oh, there she goes. Might have been Peggy Mitchell, I think. But I don't think she's too keen on it. She's nearly getting pushed into the chute. But, this could be quite interesting. Oh,
Gosh, look at those legs.
all done up in the Saturday night gear too.
Legs like that and they'll cling to anything.
There she goes. They've even won the event, I'm not sure.
I think you get extra points for brightness of colour and flogging with a handbag.
And Jason pretty keen to pick her up, I notice.
Probably going to go on a hot date later with him.
But all in all, Saturday night was a real crowd pleaser.
There's the time. There we go. Next first off. Good recovery. There we go. All on a proper. Rick Williams and Corrion. On he's gone. Give him a good round of applause, though, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Corrion down there in the Snowy River. Rick, stage price. All the money, Rick. Ladies and gentlemen, time to get into the rally. This one on, and here he comes. Will Palmer from ship number 3 on the Horseshoeing rank. There's the time.
Here we have the team penning. 3 people here have to get 3 head of cattle out of that main mob you see down the other end of the arena. They'll actually be marked with neck collars, different collars, bring them back up and put them in a pen at the opposite end of the arena. This isn't actually part of the King of the Range competition, but a fill-in event. It was a very big draw card. A lot of people wanting to go in this event. Good crowd pleaser. Jimmy Callan on the mic kept the crowd entertained throughout this event. Money actually to be won. I think first, second and third prizes here again. Good money to be won at the King of the Range competition, but as I said, not an actual part of the preliminary events for the King of the Range.
I just got to fly one more. And you wouldn't believe it. Look at this. He says, here I am, Bradley, come and get me. Look, this is going to be a very interesting time here. Hey, Margaret, what about on behind here? Margaret, back here behind. Couldn't catch her. Okay, ready to put them in. This is going to be a very interesting time. In they go. Up go the hands, and there's the time. And Bradley's friend, he nearly takes Margaret Ryan right down into the bottom of the thing. They're competing in the team guarding. Oh, good work. Now they've been miserable. Terry's lost his hat. Okay, up to the back of the pen they go. Now they've got to put them in. Make sure there's no cattle over the starting line behind them. In they go. Do they? Can they line them up? There goes 1, 2, 3. You've got to put your hands in there. They come to the gate, and up they go. That's time. All by our Judge Paul Spears. Here he goes. Now, can they get him in the pen? Time's ticking away. They send Ken Haggerty to the far side. Peter says, I better go and give him a hand. Close your eyes, but it's not 100%. Richard McGee says, I'll just try and turn around a little more. In goes the Hereford. Hereford number 2, the Charlotte crossfellow number 3. They go to a time of 1 minute. 3.84. This side. They line things up. Can they put them in? They line them up. In goes 1, 2 and 3, and the judge says, time. They go to a time of 106.94.
Over the 3 days of competition, all the competitors will compete in preliminary events, gaining points throughout the weekend to hope they make it into a top 10, which is the highest top 10 scoring competitors. They in turn will actually go in 2 events as part of the finals, which is this one we see now, the Brumby catch and the Polisaddle ride, which you'll see later on. Now you'll see the competitor there. He's actually got a halter in his hand. He has to try and get it on the Brumby, and by the way, these horses are actual Brumbies, so are trapped and brought in for this competition. You see he's actually got the halter on the head, but not in position quite good enough. There's a judge sitting on the stand there somewhere, keeping an eye on the competitors, just to see how they go about catching their Brumby and scoring them accordingly. There's a 4-minute time limit on this event. A whistle will be blown every minute, so the competitor actually knows where he stands. See, the halter is actually not too bad there now, it's just about in position. See the little horse not just quite wanting to play ball at the moment. They will kick and bite a bit, these little fellas, if they're cornered or jammed up. Very fast. Very fast, just trying to be outthought there by the rider.
The time allowed is 4 minutes. We've got 2 time kickers.
Actually, he'll be trying to get this horse so he can actually lead him a few steps. The judge will actually pay a lot of points to anyone that gets his horse, so he can actually take him around the arena without him fighting too much. Maximum points to be gained if the halter is put straight on the horse. And there's only to be 3 attempts, and an attempt is deemed that the hand holding the headpiece of the halter actually lets go. That should actually be called an attempt. And once that happens 3 times, you've actually got to pull out of the event. The time is up. Jason Leach there. You see the other rider in the ring there. He was only a coach rider, just to try and hunt the Brumby up the other end. He'll leave the arena in a minute. Jason just trying to catch his horse there. He'll be looking at a $7,000 check probably if he can get high up in these 2 events. Little black horse not wanting to play ball. Well, you can see what can happen when they're upset.
Now this is another one of the Brumbies from Coyon.
Not uncommon to be kicked. Probably horses being injured in this event. These little fellas have had a lot to do in the scrub and the rough country. Probably fighting with other horses. This little fella is actually a stallion. Self-defence is a big part of their game. You just see him there. Jason knows what's going to happen if he rides up that end.
1 minute, John. He's allowed 3 attempts with the head collar. And
4 minutes. Probably goes fairly quick. Jason getting a bit of a go at him there. Had a bit of a swipe trying to get it on. Actually lassoes the horse there around the neck, so he won't quite get maximum points for a quick catch. Little horse trying to bite his horse, you'll see him biting him on the neck.
Oh, look at him, John.
Anyone that thinks this event is easy is quite welcome to have a go at it any time.
He's got it close, it's close, close. No, I think he's got him. I just can't quite pick it up from here. He's back on the me, but I'm pretty sure he's got him. And look at him, look at the Brumby having a go at Jason's horse. Nice friendly little fella. Wonderful set of dentures on him. Time's on now. Here he goes. Lucky Crosser. Number 10 on the final. Number 10 on our list here for the Brumby catch, that is. Brumby number 12. This is another one of the Barrington Tops Brumbies. Oh yeah, Lucky was, he done a good run yesterday with a very humorous dog in the stock handling. Had him in the dog jump as well, if you remember. Black dog, trimmed up in French poodle fashion. And he's got 3 attempts. Minutes, the time allowed 3 attempts with the head collar, if you've just joined us. That's 1 minute. Whistle blows on each minute, 1 minute expired time gone. Now this is the sector. I think he's going. Going up, ladies and gentlemen, he's done it. With a fair bit of time still to go. He's given a pretty good demonstration of what he can do with him. I'll give him a clap, ladies and gentlemen, for that. There's the time. Now give it a big round of applause. Lucky Crosser.
See the crowd preparing to watch what will be the final event of the King of the Range competition, the Polisaddle ride. So you just, one of the competitors having a bit of trouble with his horse there in the chute. Now the top 10 have already competed in the Brumby catch, they've been given their points, and now they come out in the Polisaddle ride. Use your own saddle, all your own gear over the 3 days, has to be used in the buck jump as well. And as well as riding for 8 seconds, not grabbing down, not losing an iron, you have to attempt to crack your stock whip. See that competitor?
Pat on the back for doing a good job.
I think he actually won the buck jump. It was a pretty good ride. Second competitor comes out. Can't make out who he is. Might be Danny Fitzgerald, maybe.
He gets in a bit of a trouble here.
He's in a bit of trouble. Fairly loose there, but it's fairly hard. You're riding in the saddle, but you usually go to work in the muster cattle on. Third competitor, John Finlayson. He comes out and in heaps of trouble. Very dusty, greeted by the very dusty arena. John is actually a local competitor too from out Bunnan Way. Probably his first time ever on a buck jumper.
Look at the dust on him.
And you find that's the way it is mostly. You don't have to be a rough rider to win this event. You have to have a very good average over the 3 days.
And that's actually his rope that comes off the halter that they ride the buck jumpers with.
He comes out on his re-ride. I think he does a bit better this time. Cracks his whip or attempts to. It's a hard enough feat on its own without riding the horse. Racing man there, the pickup man. Gets him off quite safely. The 10 competitors all hoping to ride this horse and try and get a few points. I think it was fairly close to the top 10. There weren't many points from 1 back to 10. So riding this horse could mean the difference. Going up the ladder. Who have we got there? Rick Knutson, is it?
Yeah.
From Queensland. From all over Australia, these competitors. Rick actually had a broken ankle. Rode there with a broken ankle that he rode. Broke not all that long back. Here, oh, this is me. Pretty lucky to stay on, but anyway.
It's not luck, it's skill.
I find the crowd had a wow of a time here. Like on the Saturday night with the Polisaddle ride, this was a real big draw card.
And just for a minute, I think he's going to do a handstand.
Jason Leach, out of the Monday Shearing Contract Team, shoot number 4. Here he is, Jason Leach. And there's the
Jason Leach, winner of this event, successfully riding his horse there, cracking the whip. He probably knows by about now. He's just about got the check in the bag.
He's looking for the pickup man to
Looking
come
for
and
the
pick.
pickup man. Not quite getting there when he'd like him to.
Electrical shoot. Here he is, shoot number 1. This is Lottie Costa. Make sure you tell her out. There's Boston Charter says, there's Mark Palmer. He's ready to travel. That'll be the roughest place that held the drop. Pendergast family. Over pleasure to spend a bit of time with them there a few years ago. So here he is, Ryan Pendergast. Here he is, Ryan Pendergast. 3-1 ladies and gentlemen. Look at this for a ride. Sheet number 4, this is Jeff Lewis on Cat Chaser. And he's all over him. Things are looking pretty good. Jason Man says, stay there, I'll get you on the fence. Look at this, Jason Man. Go a round of applause for the pickup men there. Peggy Wright and Jason Man. Great bit of work there. A round of applause there for Jeff Lewis. Being led by the oldest competitor, Sam Easy, 76 years old or such. And here he is, Sam Easy coming in and leading the flag parade. These are all the competitors. We have Linda Adams, following her Jason Mann with the Australian flag. We also have Brett Jones, number 4. Hey, but the gate. So all the sponsors, could you please also come in to present these trophies?
Sam Williams, I think they'll take it all right. We checked with Sam earlier this morning. He said he thought they'd handle it all right. Now Sam, the load that Sam has got, of course, is some of the trophies.
From Pit Sun, Jim's voice you heard along here over the last 3 days, along with Brian Hunt. Jim Cullinan from Pit Sun, highest scoring quarter horse, being sponsored by the Australian Quarter Horse Association, going to David Blundell, and Ryan sponsoring the event with the King of the Ranges bracket. Can we help it? Trophy is a Woolies Border Collie. And going to Trevor Nash. The ladies' winner. Going to Megan Richards. In the ladies' overall point score, going to Linda Adams. Martin's Transport Trophy for the highest scoring horseshoeing point score is Shane Easy. All the way from down Victoria, and welcome Ron. Ron being the oldest competitor. The three oldest gentlemen competitors here. Ribbon being presented by Jim Cullinan, also from Pitson and Keene, the highest scoring bareback obstacle. Has won two in the junior section, sponsored by Pitson and Keene, and winning the Bush Bitch clock is Clayton Cowley. Yellow team gets number 25, John Pitson. A real good round of applause. Sam Williams, if you don't know him, is the manager of Yalula and Cougar out here and resides over at Yalula turnout. Now the winner of the Brumby catch on 86 points, Rocky Cossa. And he wins the Hunter Farm Irrigation trophies at 6 points by Hunter Farm Irrigation, and Ben Collison has a connection with it, scoring Stocksaddle buck jump, holding buck jump as we'll refer to, on 80 points. Trevor Nash. Now the Coffee Hut is Mondrigan and custom signature pro 596.6. And we're going to have a big cheer for this for our own Shane Easy. On 606.8, Rocky Cossa. On 627.4, Trevor Nash. And the winner is, of course, he's the last one around a really big round, Jason Lynch. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just like to emphasise, if you've only just arrived, or this year earlier, our standard here can't be too bad because Jason Lynch is the current winner from Corryong and also from last year as well. And Mark Carney has presented this magnificent battle. If you can handle this, Jason, I'm going to make up the hand and back if you can't handle it. Magnificent battle. And there's the check, a copy of the check for the $7,000 up 100 Credit Union Limited.
Got it down in the diary for King of the Roses, Stockton Challenge 2005.
All along the rugged tops and roads of Adenot, in every pub and shanty house where thirsty travellers stop, round all the towns with busy streets, with shops with fare for all, Bung McGuinness was a legend, king of the ranges they recall. On stations still unbounded by wire and the post, where the cattle knew no boundaries set by the human host, in the breaker's yard and stable where the toughest nags reside, Bung hung his hat with honour, with friendship and with pride. so unconcerned with danger as he'd race at breakneck speed, with his workmates well back cheering as he cleared the log with ease, till he caught and killed the dingo with a blow so straight and true from a limb of tall